For a closer look at why supply chain issues are so persistent globally, joining me now is Bindiya Vakil. Bindiya is the CEO and founder of Reimagining, a supply chain risk management firm. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, we heard from Walmart's CEO that he recently said his warehouses are starting to see an increase in goods. Are some of these kinks being worked out in terms of supply chain issues yet?
Obviously, Walmart being a major player, it's very possible for them to charter planes, charter container ships, and really use a lot of their purchasing might to get priority capacity allocation on different lanes. So I think their experience can certainly show that. However, for the smaller players across the supply chain all over the country, this is not the case. We're still seeing a lot of pain, disruption, shortages, delays, etc.
And we know that there's been a lot of focus on shipping and the backlog at the ports. But talk about some of these downstream issues, such as the lack of truck drivers and rail workers, etc., in really getting those goods to stores and consumers.
You know, as you said, most of our product is transported by trucks multiple times in the supply chain life cycle. There is just no replacing that completely manual process in the supply chain today, and for the near future. And as we just heard, it's a tough life. It's a difficult environment, especially with COVID. There are more complications in terms of social distancing and restrictions, and lots of delays at the port, causing truck drivers to have to wait for hours. So very, very difficult from a family life, from predictable life life balance. So we are not going to see this particular problem ease anytime soon. In addition, we have an aging demographic in the US, so we have we're anticipating this to continue to grow from 80,000 today short to over 1 million short in a few years.
And it's interesting because you do mention the two sides. You have the shipping issues, but then you also have this as a career, which people are also struggling with. Now, in terms of relief, there has been some executive action from the Biden administration regarding opening the LA and Long Beach ports 24 hours. But how much of a difference will that make if the rest of the supply chain can't work 24 hours as well?
The entire chain has to work. There are bottlenecks at the rail, the trucks, warehousing is all full. If people can't get their product picked up, then there's nowhere to put the product that gets offloaded. So I think there are multiple areas, and every time you fix one, you're going to find a bottleneck at the next. And so this is not a problem that we're going to see easing anytime soon.
And a lot of people are wondering, is there a light at the end of the tunnel that you can see? Just how long-term of a problem do you think this is, depending on which part of the supply chain you're looking at?
It is so badly clogged, with so many ships backlogged and so much inventory stuck in these different places. There is no easy way to say this, but we are living through this massive disruption for the near future. Unless there's a massive demand shift, which is also not anticipated at this time, I do feel like if earnings season comes in really poor, there might be some recalibration by many companies of their demand forecast, in which case we might actually have bigger problems in terms of our economic growth being stalled, which can certainly change the picture. But if demand stays strong and companies keep buying, consumers keep buying, then disruptions are likely to continue as long as we can see.
And that's especially true, obviously, going into the holiday season. We have about 30 seconds left, but I do want to ask, with this truck driver shortage and retiring, and then these backups at ports, and these pushes also for cleaner energy as well, talk about some of the ways that perhaps we might see this as a chance to reimagine supply chains to be better to meet today's needs.
There is always opportunity and risk, isn't there? I think the whole idea of self-driving cars, 3D printing, reimagine the supply chain to not be completely global. Look at Pan-American countries, our neighbors to the south, neighbors to the north. There's plenty of labor, plenty of water. This is a chance to reimagine not only new technologies, but the geography itself of where we buy from and why do we need to be global all the time.